I don't know. It's been like 4 weeks since I last published a newsletter on agents with agents.ai, and it's been 5 or 6 days of me actually working on something on the back of that. So what happened was I decided I want to take a break from writing about the news and AI. I want to get hands on and start building stuff for me, and I want to learn how to do that. I do know how to code, full disclosure, but mainly in JavaScript, a little bit of Swift, some React Native, JavaScript adjacent, But I've never really used AI to code. I've never really built AI things in full, really focused on AI. So I thought, let's learn how to do that. And I came across, in that time of rethinking, this article by Anthropic on building effective agents. Very popular article. It looks like this in the top. Go find it if you haven't read it. But down here in the description of what agents are, I love this little visual because it's a very nice way to think about it. There's this feedback loop that an LLM uses to decide if it has solved the problem that a human prompts. So this is kind of done in two major areas that I'm super familiar with right now. One is in customer support. Common use case of agents is a chatbot type agent where the human comes in, says, I need a thing. In natural language, there's a feedback loop or a conversation. It can also be a voice one where the agent tries to solve the person's problem using a set of tools that are at its disposal. It monitors the human's happiness or satisfaction with the problem or with the need. And once it's decided it's sufficiently solved it, it exits the conversation. That is agenticness. Another one is encoding, where a human requests code or the LLM itself requests code to solve some need. The code is written. There is the environmental feedback of running it and seeing if it works. And then more work is done to try to solve any bugs that are in the code. And eventually the code works. It is shipped. It is applied, whatever. And that is another type of agent. So we see that with Cursor's agent, for example, very hot right now. But I wanted to build my own thing. And thinking about the customer support one, I started thinking about WDTR, which is this construct I have with my son, which is basically it's a bedtime story thing that we do pretty much every night. And it started like this. We were walking down the road one afternoon after work, which I do all the time with my kid. Walk my dog after work, and I bring Tom with me. He's 2.5. And we were walking down the road, and he asked me to tell him a story or read him a story. He loves reading books at night. I didn't have a book. I was walking down the road. So I said, I'll tell you a story, which we had never done before. But I began that story with, we were walking down the road, Tom, Daddy, and Evie, our dog, and we heard a noise in the distance. And I growled, like, rah. And he went, what is it? And then he felt it in himself. He said, is it a green dragon? And then we started telling the story together with him adding his own details. And I just sort of went with it as sort of an improv exercise. But I thought, based on that thing, which we now call walking down the road stories in our household, he asks for this all the time. He heard that as the way I started it. And later that night, he asked me to tell him another walking down the road story. So he really built that idea himself. But I started thinking about this feedback loop thing and thought, I could maybe build a bedtime story maker where Tom can be super interactive with me, that we could, A, would teach me how to build agentic things, and B, I could actually use in my real life. So since last Friday, I've been building this mainly using AI to build, even though, again, I can code, and I have had to code a little bit to do this, but mainly using Cursor. Started with Lovable, couldn't go that far with Lovable, shifted to Cursor. That's where I'm at right now. But this is where we've landed. And I'll say I didn't write any of the copy here, but this is just kind of the homepage. Hold tight. If you've already got your alarms up and going, this is just a marketing page, trust me, that's not the end of it. So I'll show you the actual app in a second. But I did ask Cursor to help me make this marketing page. And you see it here where we've got a really nice sort of explanation of this bedtime story maker. But that's not all. You can actually log into this thing and use it. And I have been. So my kid Tom looks just like this. He's 2.5, chubby little cheeks. He has curly blonde hair, blue eyes, always smiling. That is Tom. Tom recognizes that as Tom. And we have been using this over the last just couple of days to make a ton of stories. We've probably done 4 together today. I did one for his nap time, in fact. But if I go back to the homepage, you'll see kind of how this works. You come in and you basically set up your character. You name them, you give a physical description, you give all the interest of the kid, kind of things they like. Let's just add one here, sharks. You add their friends and family, their relationships, whatever. All the stuff matters because the AI uses it, but then you can come in and make new stories. So with the Create Story Wizard, you add whatever you want. He might today like shovels, he's always into weird stuff. So shovels, and monsters. He may ask for both of those. I literally ask him what he wants in stories, and he'll tell me. I put the characters in that he wants, and then I select personally, because he doesn't get this stuff. I pick one or two moral elements I want the story to revolve around. So courage, acceptance, maybe just acceptance, whatever. And then I create the story. And that begins a wizard that actually, I'm not going to do it right now because it does take probably a minute and a half. But that creates a wizard that generates a story. And we end up with stories like these, where, I like this one here, where a story is written out kind of in pages. And for each of those pages, we generate an image. But as we continue, it actually becomes interactive. I've already answered this one, so I can't re-answer it. But questions are generated on the fly that affect the upcoming pages. So in this case, it said, what color should King Zebra's magical cape be? As he sets off into the forest, Tom said bright rainbow colors. As we continue, this very strange but hilarious to my son image was generated. So it's not perfect all the time, but you see kind of how this begins to work. So that whole thing is very interactive, and we end up with a full story with multiple questions coming back to Tom for him to answer. There's a moral to it. It's about teaching others to be excited and happy, but being positive. And King Zebra is very happy with him, and it ends with it being just a story being read by mommy, and it's bedtime and good night, Tom. That's kind of the way most of these do end, because they're mostly bedtime stories. But I want to call out, these are not meant for young readers to learn to read. This is interactive agentic storytelling is the end goal, but it teaches the kids some agency too. It teaches them to sort of be a part of the story, to feel creative, to see the world as a place that they can have some influence on, and to learn some moral lessons along the way. It's not perfect. There's a lot of that AI slop involved here that we will solve for. It'll never replace human storytelling. I'll just say that, or human artistry. And I think there's a lot of interesting problems I've already dealt with in the past few days, just of creating consistent imagery, consistent storytelling, while people are able to influence it. And there's so much work to be done there. But I really want to turn this into something that I can make pre-signups for, that I can end up having people sign up for, that becomes an actual product that people can use. My son is addicted to this already. And I think a lot of kids will love it too, just like he does. So it's early days. I plan to document the story as I build it, but I did want to share it with all of you. It is not going to be something I talk about from a technical side a ton, just because I think there's a lot of that already out there. But I will show, I'm certainly using a ton of cursor here to build it. It's been very fun to learn how to use that. It's really my first time getting hands-on with cursor. And Lovable too, which I really like Lovable, lovable.dev, but I just kind of ran into some walls there because I was overusing it and tinkering with different formats for this, and then got tired of being outside of code, so I went straight to code. But anyway, I hope you guys like it. I hope you think it's cool. I would love to take any questions you have or thoughts you have about it. The end.